Supercharged current affairs debate and electrifying opinion. Fake News with Mark Dolan on Talk Radio.
This is Fake News, the Talk Radio quiz show that rings the doorbell of current affairs and runs away. I'm delighted to say you can hear us on Talk Radio, but you can also watch us on Facebook and YouTube, which is why I've had my teeth done. Another mad week in the world of showbiz and politics. Speaking at her party's conference this week, Lib Dem leader Jo Swinson still insists she can be our next Prime Minister. Wow, not only are the Lib Dems all about legalising drugs, they clearly take them too. In a PR coup, makers of Snickers are set to revert to the original 1970s name of the iconic chocolate bar by calling it Marathon. This looks to be setting a major trend, as the Labour Party are going to revert to their original name of the Workers' Party of North Korea. Up to Scotland now, where it's been revealed the Loch Ness Monster is nothing more than, wait for it, a gigantic eel. This adds to the list of other myths that have turned out to be pure, nonsensical hokum, including Bigfoot, the Bermuda Triangle, and perhaps most ridiculously, the Northern Ireland backstop. Meanwhile, after a bruising encounter with the PM, culminating in a no-show at their joint press conference, Luxembourg PM Xavier Bettel is thought to have received the support of the Luxembourg people. That's right, all 38 of them. And finally, David Cameron's autobiography continues to make waves. He revealed this week that he laughed at salacious allegations about him and a pig. Well, good news. The pig is set to reveal her side of the story in this weekend's Mail on Sunday. Now let's meet our fabulous guests. First up, representing the climate change deniers, we have Talk Radio icon Ash Gould, and bringing up the rear though, not literally thank God, the Sun's showbiz supremo, Hannah Hope. And representing What's the Point of Luxembourg, we have the fantastic new voice of Talk Radio Nighttime, and he still looks young, but give it a year, Darryl Morris, and top comedian and close showbiz pal of mine, Hatty Ashdown. Now what we're going to do, we're going to kick off with round one. Now this round is called What's the Story Morning Glory. Each panellist has the chance to pick their favourite story from the papers. I'll give 100 points for the best one. Ash, you're up first. What's caught your eye?
Mine is from the Times. The headline is Poor Choices Made When Hungry, and the University of Dundee have looked into it, and they've said that you'll make impatient decisions or are more likely to accept small rewards. And when you phoned me to come on this show, I hadn't eaten for an hour, and I said I'd do it, didn't I? And then straight after, I thought, oh, we'll have a little nibble cheese toasty. I don't know. I thought, what have I just done? Yeah, I'd already agreed to it, so here I am, man.
I think a lot of your key career decisions have been made first thing in the morning, before you've even had a cup of tea. And you know.
I've heard that actually needing to urinate makes you make a decision quickly. Which makes sense. It stimulates part of the brain. So,
did you know that there is a fetish? Not that I'm necessarily an expert on fetishism, but apparently there's a male fetish that a man can be very excited if his female partner needs a wee. Apparently that's a bit of a turn on.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, very much so. In some, you can get magazines dedicated to it.
Well, that's too much knowledge there, Ash. Hannah Hope, you have a great nose for a story.
I do indeed. So it's called It Makes Me So Angry, and it's about clowns. Now, UK clowns are up in arms because of a film that's come out that's ruining their livelihood. Basically, they're not getting any bookings because they're worried that the scary clown in It is going to affect their bookings for children's parties and things. Yeah. They're too scary now.
I mean, you're like showbiz supremo at The Sun. Do you feel like there's any PR makeover that could be done for clowns?
I think there should be more female clowns, and they should introduce more diversity to clowns, because they're always white-faced, aren't they?
Do you want a sack or clown? Imagine the dole queue with all the clowns.
So maybe Justin Trudeau, if he ceases to be Canadian Prime Minister, as we know, he enjoys a bit of facial makeup. Yeah. Darryl, what story has caught your eye this week?
The story that has caught my eye this week is, did you see this? The toilet that was stolen from Winston Churchill's former home. That was no ordinary toilet. It was a £4.8 million. But the best bit of this story for me was the fact that the guy who created the toilet, who created the art in the first place, was so blasé about it. He actually referred to them as being the true artists because they've managed to steal the toilet, which is a funny new way of looking at crime, isn't isn't it, as art. But I would have been on whatever meditative plan that guy's on, because he is very chilled.
What are they going to do with the toilet?
They melt it down. It's gold, isn't it? But they left the flusher and the pipes. That's about £1 million worth.
Yeah, that
apparently,
is. And the toilet roll, that's at least
got
$500,000.
nothing to go on.
Yeah. That nearly got lost there. That nearly got lost. But well done, you.
Put some laughter in there.
2-1, I think that is now.
Yeah. That's right. Just in case you wanted to remember what humour was like in the 1970s. Thank you, Ash. Our next round is called Fake News. It's very simple. I'll read some stories from the news this week, and you guys have to choose which one is true and which is false. Ash and Hannah, you're up first. Is this one true or false? Here we go. Man spends £30,000 fighting a £100 fine. True or false?
I think that's true.
I reckon as well, people get into it and they think they get this justice thing, and then they normally lose, don't they?
People get really fixated on victory and proving themselves right.
And then they go to the High Court. You can easily spend, spend that money.
It becomes about becoming right and not even about the money. It is ridiculous. At some point, you need to walk away.
You do it, and you see celebrities get into court cases with libel and stuff like that, and you think, well, maybe someone called you fat. Just get over it. You know what I mean? You don't want. 3 years later, you're still in court moaning about it.
And everyone knows you're fat. Then no one actually heard the story, but now everyone knows you. Go, he is fat.
And
no one knows how fat you are.
The lawyers are just encouraging it, saying, no, if we do another round, we'll do this, we can get more money on both sides.
No win, no fee. If you were injured in an accident, it was not your fault.
You sound like
but it was your fault. You just meant to admit to an accident.
I'm not having this from Ash, because whenever he comes on Fake News, he always pretends to trip over in the studio and goes, "Oh, my elbow, my elbow."
Yeah.
It's quite corrupt.
You'll be hearing from my lawyers.
I mean, you're constantly in court, aren't you?
Well, I'm a bit clumsy, that's why.
That's all it is.
See, we haven't signed any disclaimers, so if anyone does have an accident, we'll be clubbed together.
That's exactly right. It is a true story. Richard Keedwell from Bristol spent 3 years fighting the fine. He was caught doing 35 in a 30 zone. Very bad luck. Now, Darryl and Hatty, is this one true or false? Jeremy Corbyn sells his allotment for a huge profit.
Ooh,
what do we think?
Interesting.
What do we think?
Interesting. Well, I don't know. He's not the sort of guy that's chasing the cash, is he?
No.
I don't think.
I'm going to say it's not true, because I hope it's not true.
All right. Well, the thing is, it's not very on brand for him to be seen to profit, because he's supposedly not that big a fan of the capitalism, is he?
Yeah, but unless he was using the profit for something good.
Unless he's donated the profit.
But the only other confusing thing is, why would he get rid of an allotment, given that that's part of his image as man of the people, don't you think? Environmentalist. He's a vegetarian.
Yeah.
But he's a Marxist. Once they get to power, they have the Mercedes and they have all the luxury and they'll have gold toilets. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a very good point, by the way.
Didn't
you used to be a bit of a Corbynista?
I did.
Has the halo slipped?
Oh, it's a tricky one. But, oh, God, I don't want to say. But maybe a little bit, yes.
Was it the allotment?
It's the allotment.
That was just what tipped you over.
It wasn't growing enough green beans for me, and strawberries and raspberries from around all European countries.
Okay,
I don't think he has sold the allotment, because he seems very relaxed about the idea of Brexit, doesn't he? He seems almost neutral on Brexit and no deal Brexit, and our post-Brexit dash for food. He's fine. He's going to be all right, and so absolutely he's kept his allotment. I think it's fake news.
I'm agreeing.
Well, absolutely right. I can tell you that it is fake news, so congratulations, guys. Yes, indeed, the leader of the opposition did not sell his allotment to the highest bidder, and he did not make £2,000. Now, Ash and Hannah, is this one true or false? Nottingham mum demands apology from delivery driver doing a poo, that's right, outside the house. True or false?
Well, if I was a mum having something delivered and someone excreted outside my house, I would demand an apology. So I don't think it's that unbelievable.
I've got a bit of experience about this. Because
really?
I've got a mate who used to work for that it's a famous delivery company, and he delivered to this woman, and apparently he'd left one of his pallets, so she ran to the van, opened the door, and he was there squatting in the back of his van. Doing a big
but at least he had
poo-poo.
the sort of politeness to do it with
in the
his
van.
own vehicle.
So he'd have done it in his van, wouldn't he?
Unless he was really worried about asking to use her toilet. Maybe he thought it was the more polite option to relieve
Do it
himself outside like a dog.
That's
It's
always
laying your territory,
No,
isn't
it's
it?
just a fox doing it or a cat, and it's not. It's blooming. You know what, deliverers?
It's an instinct inside us all, though, to lay our territory and show it's our territory. We just have to fight it sometimes, and sometimes you lose the battle.
But also, I always think, and it does go on with a lot of the drivers. I use Amazon a lot, and what they do is they just throw the poo over the wall,
Or leave it in the bin.
really
Don't
careless,
even
really
look at your
carelessly.
mouth.
They
Yeah,
just no, because of course the thing about it is, and we must sort of understand, our economy is now based on stuff being delivered, and these people, in many ways, they're heroes because they are doing the work we don't want to do, right? And where are they going to go and have a wee?
And they're monitored by robots every minute of their day. They're
They
monitored.
haven't got time to be going to the wee.
Yeah.
That's
You
a
haven't
very
got time
that's
to
a
do
costly
it.
poo, that, isn't it?
Actually, you just very. I witnessed a well-known takeaway delivery biker relieving themselves doing number one against a wall near my house the other
that's
day.
all right.
And I was
Number
thinking,
one.
well,
Number one.
as long as
We've
they've
all
already,
done that.
as long as they've delivered the food, that's kind of okay. But if
Before.
they,
Have they delivered the food?
I
Was it
don't
been
know.
steaming hot
I know.
pizza?
I mean, you want to make sure that it's not too
Hattie,
clammy.
we've all done that.
We've all, on the way here, I'm not just saying, it just reminded me, on the way here, I saw a woman outside her house. I think she'd locked herself out and she was having a wee in her front. No.
It's going on everywhere, this is.
I honestly, I just remembered that
Yeah.
because she was like looking really shifty, even though she was breaking into the house.
As much as if
People
you're
just,
a bloke,
oh
though.
dear.
Yeah, that's true.
It feels a bit on gender lines that men are notoriously naughty about this, whereas females, it's a bigger thing, isn't it, for a female to do that?
I've been suggested to carry around a shiwi on my person, which are great at festivals, not kind of just in my everyday life. But
What about when you're on a particularly long shift at the showbiz desk at the Sun? You know what I mean? When you've got an exclusive about Paul Hollywood, you're like, I'd love to go to the loo, but there just isn't time.
or just grab my shiwi in a little waste paper bin.
Who hasn't?
I once did one at Glastonbury and I thought, oh, no one's been here. And then suddenly a light came on and there was millions of turds around there. Because everyone didn't want to use their toilets.
Yeah, people, you hear about people wearing nappies, don't you?
Yes.
Just to get to the front to watch Bob Dylan or whatever.
And that's just the old acts, isn't it?
that's
Bob
just-
Dylan.
Oh, yeah,
Perhaps
exactly.
the delivery people could be equipped with some sort of sling or like a harness,
They need a nappy.
and they can just
Adult
let
nappies.
rip. On that inflammatory note, let me ask you whether it's true or false. What do you think?
Is this us? Who's
Yeah.
Who
No,
is
it's
this?
them.
Oh, it's them.
I think
The
it's
reason
true.
I wasn't
Yeah.
specific because I couldn't
think it's
remember.
probably true.
I think it's probably true.
Yeah, because they don't have a minute to do. That's not accounted for in their workday.
It is absolutely true indeed. The delivery firm DHL are investigating a claim that one of its drivers was seen relieving himself outside a house in Nottingham. The woman said he pulled his boxers down, wiped his bottom on her fence.
That sounds painful.
Is it new developments?
That's a new way of.
They had to say he was a mum. Like, anyone would be offended by that, not just because she's a mum.
Yes.
sitting on the fence.
Oh, I'm not
Well,
a
it
mum,
is a
so
bit,
I don't
isn't it?
care.
You couldn't
poo
wipe it
away.
in another one.
Okay, next up, Darryl and Hatty. Is this one true or false? Man takes emotional support clown to redundancy meeting. An emotional support clown.
Clown?
Back to the clowns again.
That's obsessed with clowns.
So the issue with this story, Mark, is that I don't think that clowns are that relaxing, are they?
No.
I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure clowns are there for emotional support, really, are they?
First of all, they don't speak, which is not helpful, is it?
Unhelpful.
It's a British thing, isn't it? A clown. I don't think Americans quite can do a clown.
No, I
It
think
becomes
that's-
like a horror.
It
horror
becomes
film.
like goes
Yeah.
down the Stephen King route.
Yeah.
You think of the clowns, maybe it's a great European tradition. I think French
Yeah.
clowns are
Italian.
involved in mime. The
yeah.
Italians, of course, anyway.
Yeah.
Is an
yeah.
emotional
Love a bit.
support clown a thing? Am I missing something? I can imagine like an emotional support dog or a
Yeah.
cat, but like it's like a
Me.
I've
Or
never heard of it. That's
Even
what
a
I think.
pony. You get ponies.
It feels like it could be true because it's just so crazy. How could anyone think it
Well,
up?
they clearly need a new vocation now that they've been made redundant.
Yes.
They can't. They're no longer funny. They have to sort of branch out into emotional support, maybe.
All right, well, what do you reckon? Let's make the leap of faith. We're going to go true or false.
I'm going to be honest, Hattie. I don't think that that's true. I think that
Don't
seems like a
you?
stretch to me.
Okay, I'm going to go with you because not sure.
Because you're very
You're
impressionable.
saying
Okay.
it's
But
false.
then I don't know. I think it might be true because it's so mad. No, I'm going to say true.
Okay,
Oh,
let's
sorry,
go to
hang on.
press with true. Well, it's just as well.
Sorry,
What?
I've been completely overruled there. What happened there?
Because what happened is that democracy is so last year. Yeah. It's now just the will of the people.
Who needs to agree on? Okay, go on then.
Well, actually, she's done you a great favour because it is a true story.
yes.
So well done, Hattie, for standing your ground. Josh Thompson in New Zealand hired a clown who mimed crying as he was given his P45. Ash and Hannah, is this one true or false? Mass explosion of bull semen after fire at genetics lab.
That sounds pretty grim.
Well, yeah, it does. But I mean, bull semen. I looked into this, and it's very expensive.
Please don't say.
Why did you look into bull semen?
Well, it's just
Please,
I got
why?
a mind like that. And I thought might try and do some bull cow breeding and that, but. And they are, apparently, it's really, a proper bull is like £500,000, so the semen is worth a lot, and you have to keep it, the fridges can go up, and so I reckon,
What
would be a
people don't
terrible
realise
thing, wouldn't it?
about Ash is that he enjoys very much to breed with livestock, don't you?
Well, I'm a Renaissance man. I like to do a bit
Yeah.
of everything. I'll
But I
try
can-
everything
when
once or
let
twice.
me clarify that he likes to create these thoroughbreds. Where he,
Hybrids.
So are there bull semen like dealers out there on the
Oh
internet?
yeah. Do you want? Why? You interested?
I don't know. Is it a lucrative little
Good
side
stuff. Yeah, it's
hustle?
good stuff. Yeah, very much so. If
Okay.
you get the right. Yeah.
Hannah Hope's attitude is,
world now,
how do I get
Hannah.
hold of this semen?
It's a modern world.
What do you reckon, guys? True or false?
You seem to be the expert
I've
in this
looked into
area.
that, all the agricultural
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
So what do you think, Ash? I'm going to let you take the lead on
I
this.
think that's true, and it would have been a great big mess.
Ooh, I wouldn't want to clean that up,
No, I wouldn't want to clean it. I'd just leave it. Yeah.
So we think it's true.
We think it's true, and you're so right. It is absolutely true. Well done, team the climate change deniers. Yes, a huge fire at a cattle breeding lab in Australia has caused thousands of pounds worth of damage. After 100 cylinders of bull DNA, and we'll just put it as gently as that, exploded in front of firefighters.
Firefighters.
Poor firefighters.
After that accident waiting to happen, the scores are as follows. The climate change deniers have 58. What's the point of Luxembourg have 221?
Yeah. Oh no, it's bad.
No, that's us, mate. That's us.
It's time for a short break. We'll be back with more big laughs and public anger after this.
Supercharged current affairs debate and electrifying opinion. Fake News with Mark Dolan on Talk Radio.
Welcome back to Fake News, the comedy quiz show equivalent of a really misleading profile image on Tinder. Yes, I'm Mark Dolan, and still undermining our constitution are Ash Gould, Hannah Hope, Darryl Morris and Hatty Ashdown. Now don't forget you can hear us on Talk Radio, but you can also watch us on Facebook and YouTube, which is why I've had the whole of my face changed. None of this is real. Okay, let's crack on. Our next round is Headline Deadline. All you have to do is guess the missing word from the headline. It's a buzzer round, so let's get started. 6 in 10 women admit doing what on dates so that men are not put off? Hattie.
Holding in farts.
Oh, yes. Well, that's key in the early stage of a relationship, isn't it?
You gotta, well, not for me, but for a lot of women.
I mean, I've got to say, when I met my lovely other, I didn't poo for about 3 years. I was like the opposite of a DHL driver.
Now you just sit there with the door open, don't you?
yeah.
There was so much pressure on my bowels that, you know what I mean?
It's terrible. It is terrible, isn't it, when you're first with it and you don't want it and you're really trying and then terrible.
Well, there is something about pretending. You do pretend like you're not human when you want someone to love you, don't you, at the beginning?
You're like, I don't poo. Of course I don't poo. I'm a princess.
Hannah.
Starvation.
6 in 10 women admit doing starvation on dates so men aren't scared off. Interesting. What makes you suggest that?
Well, I know that lots of girlfriends don't like to go for dinner on a first date because it can be quite messy. Or I know on my first ever date, I ordered prawns and they weren't kind of like little declothed prawns. They were king prawns that, like, you know, you have to take the shell off and you need to wash your hands. And it was all,
involved,
it was a lot of work involved. You have the chat going on and it was all quite stressful. And then there's like sloppy pasta. And I think sometimes a first date is just a good drink or a coffee.
Yeah. Actually, I've always wondered why it is that you don't have your own cooking column in the Sun. And I realise it's because you call prawns without their shell declothed. Any other ideas?
Just dumbing down, being an idiot.
Oh, that is the answer. It's
Go on.
dumbing down. I read this in the newspaper. in the copy of the Times
Well,
this
that's
week.
cheating then, no, if you know it.
He's just remembered it.
thought
He was dumbing down for us all.
Exactly.
I thought I'm coming on a news quiz. I'm going to read the news this week. I'm going to keep across the news.
And also,
it's-
nobody knows more about the news than you because you get the first editions of the papers when you go on air
true.
through the night on Talk Radio.
you, yes,
It's a brilliant show.
Thank you.
So this caught your eye in the dead of night.
Yes, it did. It did in the dead of night. Yeah. So it is the fact that so women are sort of essentially they're more intelligent than men, and because they don't want to put these men off, they dumb it down. What is it? 1 in 10, well, 6 in 10? Which I mean, because I'm too dumb to know whether that's a high amount of women. So.
Well, it's funny you should say that. Half of all women admit to dumbing down on dates so that men are not scared off. 31% pretend to care about football when they really don't care at all. So, what keeps couples together? Hattie.
Netflix box sets.
Oh yes. Have you got a particular? I know your old partner. He's a very attractive, fine man.
I mean, we don't need them to keep together. But I know a friend of mine said,
Looks and sounds like you.
I said, how's things going? And I just love what she said. Well, put it like this: we'll stay together a bit longer. I've got another box set to go through. And I just thought that just sums it up now, doesn't it?
So you think the sort of relationship is teetering on the brink, and you're like, oh, we've never seen Breaking Bad.
Yeah. And then that's got to be another 6 months?
Yes, of course. All right. Well, it's a good answer. The idea of box sets or streaming is not the right answer, Hannah.
I think actually the opposite, Hattie. I think separate TVs keeps couples together. So you don't have to watch football and they don't have to watch reality TV shows. You know, you can watch what you want. Not
Separate
just
houses.
gender stereotyping a little bit there, but you know what I mean.
Well, actually, it's not the right answer, but you've inspired me to a showbiz story about the presenter Fern Cotton.
Right.
Brilliant.
And she jumped on social media and denied any relationship problems because it came out that she occasionally likes to be in a separate bed to her partner. But actually, does anyone want to share a bed with her? I mean, yes, if there's activity going on, of course, it's welcome. In case you're watching, Mrs. Dolan. And by the way, that's not my mother. You guys are obscene.
But then afterwards, you just want to get out that bed and get in another one to relax. Don't
There you
So
go.
like the royals in the old days where they had their separate quarters. You'd like that, would
And
you,
Winston
Mark?
Churchill apparently penned a fountain pen letter to his partner, Clementine, and he would slide it under the door of her quarters with an invitation to join him
In the golden
for a
toilet
glass
room.
of bubbly and something else.
Can I like a cuddle.
Darryl?
So sweet.
This is why we're a team. I agree with him.
I don't like being on my own at all. I don't.
Spooning after.
I mean, you don't stay in the cuddle though, do you? You
We
go,
have
oh,
been-
let's have a cuddle, and then you suddenly, after a while, your arm's
Yeah.
going dead,
Yeah.
and,
Well, look how
and then
you-
you
yeah.
go, actually, I'm going to have to slip out.
We've been known to do a full all-night cuddle in our bed, and because I spend my week in wonderful London now, and my girlfriend Michaela is in Manchester at the weekend, so we only see each other at the weekends. And the thing I have missed the most is the cuddle. I've missed the cuddle.
That's amazing.
Why didn't you tell me, man?
Yeah,
I'm down.
Ash, take care of it.
Couldn't we?
Would you like to?
I was dropping the hint, Ash. There it is.
Come on.
Would you like to? Let's do it, guys.
Yeah, you play there. No, that's
Don't
all
fight
right.
it.
Yeah, like
I'll sit
every
at-
day.
Oh yeah, that's very nice.
There you
I'm
go.
going to sort of
It's just as good, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm
By
stuck.
the way, there
it's very
isn't.
warm.
I should tell you, you're quite new to Talk Radio. There isn't anybody that hasn't been involved in that physical position with Ash.
Good. That's my initiation
It is.
test.
You're
Yeah,
part of a
great.
It's a rite of passage, quite literally, isn't it, Ash?
Yeah, it is.
Arguing, that's right, arguing keeps couples together. According to a report out this week. So there you go. It says that happier spouses bickered but chose their battles wisely. I'm always suspicious of those people that say we've never had an argument in 40 years.
It's quite invigorating, isn't it, having an argument? I used to have a
Correct.
girl from the East End was like that, and she actually once scratched my... I've still got a scar on it over the remote control. But, I mean, it was a lovely relationship, but apart from the violence, but it was stimulating.
There you go.
Making up can be very fun as well.
Time is up, and with that assault on democracy, here are the final scores. Losing their deposit, it's the climate change deniers with, I'm afraid, 10 points. Yes, they've rolled backwards and being swept to power on no mandate at all are What's the Point of Luxembourg with 10 million points. You guys came just cruising at the end like one of those really lusty bulls we were talking about earlier. Many thanks to all of my fantastic guests who have tested the word entertainment to its very limits. We'll see you next Saturday at 10 for more fake news. I've been Mark Dolan. I hope to be again sometime. See you soon.